Hi, this is Jill from Fabric Garden, and this week I wanted to talk a little bit about your fabric stash. This weekend I was in my sewing room visiting my fabric stash and was wondering, what am I going to do with all these cutting scraps and little pieces of fabric I have left over from my projects? And to mind came log cabin quilts. Now, don't tune out. I know that some of you have had frustrations with log cabin blocks. Sometimes you make 10 blocks and you get 10 different sizes. And that just has to do with the number of seams that are in those blocks. But I've got a solution for that, so hang on. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you can get with log cabin blocks. Log cabin blocks will do nice little diagonals, or let me find this. You can do diamonds. You can do zigzags or flowers. I have even seen people make shapes, umbrellas, hearts, all sorts of different things. That the sky is the limit. Once you get your blocks made, you just start laying them out until you have a design that you like. So I promised you I would tell you how to make these blocks so they all come out the exact same size and go together. So let me show you. It is with the Creative Grids Log Cabin Trim Tools. We've got 3 sizes here. We have one that makes 8-inch blocks, another that makes 6-inch, and one that makes cute little 4-inch blocks. The beautiful thing about these rulers is that there's only one piece that has to be cut exact, and that is the center of the block. All the strips that go around the center do not have to be precision cut. Each ruler will tell you the minimum size for a strip, but they can be larger. You just can work with what you have. So let me show you how it works. I'm going to work with the 6-inch. You start out, and the 6-inch ruler says that the center square needs to be 2 inches. So that will have to be cut accurately. After that, the strips need to be at least 1.5 inches wide, but they don't have to be a particular length, and they can be wider than 1.5 inches. In fact, if you've got some cutting scraps where you cut a strip and one side was all wavy, you don't even need to trim up that other side. So you start out with your center. This red is my center, and you start by sewing a dark on one side. Now you can see it doesn't have to be exact as the center. Then I add a second dark, and then I'm going to add 2 lights to it. So I just keep going around in a circle, dark, dark, light, light, always in the same order. And once I have one round on, now the ruler starts to do its job. I don't know if you can see this, but the ruler is marked round 1, round 2, round 3, and so on. The rounds for 4, 5, and 6 are actually for half log cabin blocks. Making a regular log cabin, we're only going to do 3 rounds on the 6-inch block. So I put 1 round. I will put the 1 inch, the round 1 over my center. I will trim 2 sides, and then I will flip the block, line it up, and trim the other 2 sides. When I've done that, I will have a nice perfect square, and now I will start adding another round. So again, I will sew on a dark, a light, and a light. You'll notice the lights stay on one side, the darks on the other. Now I'm going to find the round 2 on my ruler. It's a square. Trim 2 sides. Then I will flip the block over, line up the round 2, and I will trim up the other 2 sides. And then I will add one more round. A dark, a light, and a light. find the round 3, line it up, trim 2 sides, flip my block, trim the other 2 sides, and I will have a perfect, it's 6.5 inches at this point, it'll be 6 inches when I sew it into the quilt, and every block will be exactly the size of this ruler and will fit together beautifully. Now this same ruler, you can also make the half log block, which starts with the center at the outside corner and continues to add out. Or you can also make a courthouse steps where you're adding 2 lights, 2 darks, 2 lights, 2 darks, and again trimming at each full round. So that is how the ruler works. You get perfection every time in your blocks with only having to cut that 2-inch square perfectly. So how does this pertain to your stash? Well, the first thing you need to do is pick the size of the ruler you want to use. If you want to get rid of a lot of stash, go with the 8-inch block because it's going to take a lot of fabric to sew up the little tiny 4-inch blocks. But once you've picked the size of your ruler, then you need to pick a color for your center. It is tradition in log cabins that the center is red because that is the heart of the home. But it's your quilt. You can make that center any color that you want to. Then you will divide your stash into lights and darks. And you will read your ruler. The 8-inch ruler says your strips need to be at least 1 3/4 inches wide. So if you have pieces that aren't that wide, you'll have to put those back in your stash boxes. But you'll just divvy your fabrics into light and darks, start cutting your strips, and before you know it, you will be ready just to sit down at your sewing machine and start just mindlessly piecing away that fabric. No need to cut your strips to any specific length because you will trim any excess off as you use the ruler. So I think you'll have a lot of fun with this technique. So pull those boxes of scraps out, get to sorting and cutting, and before you know it, you will have a beautiful log cabin quilt to use for yourself or to give as a gift. Thank you.